the Civil War Guru Show. My name is Steve Hunson, and I am the Civil War Guru. And today is a happy day for me because I have one of the most famous of all the Confederate swords, the Nashville Plow Cavalry Sword. Now, a year or so ago, I did a video on how to identify a real Nashville Plow Cavalry Sword from a fake. So today we have an original, and we're going to get some real good close-ups of it so you can see and you can compare with the other video. And I've been waiting a long time for this particular sword. I'm actually doing this for a friend of mine that owns a sword. And this is an opportunity for me because this is one of the finest condition Nashville Plow swords that I've ever had my hands on. It has probably 85% of the original black enamel paint on it. It has all the original leather on the grip. It has all the original wire. And it's this wonderful condition. Now this has the stippled guard. You know, on Nashville Plows they have two different type of guards. They have the plain one and the stippled one. This is the one that's stippled. It has like the little dots on it. So we're going to get up close on it so you can see it. Now, you know, I've talked to several guys that call themselves scholars on these things. And they say that they think that Nashville Plow made approximately 300 of these things. And Nashville Plow, of course, Nashville fell to the Union in April 1st of 1862. So they made approximately a year. But these are probably one of the most coveted of all the cavalry swords in collecting of the Confederacy. And in my 55 years, 60 years of collecting, I've handled probably 30 of these swords. And it seems that they were issued to a lot of Kentucky troops. And there was one story where these things that were bought up from Nashville to Bowling Green when Albert Sidney Johnson and the guys were there in Bowling Green before they went down to Shiloh. But I know that famous generals, of course, Albert Sidney Johnson, and another one which is still in the original family, Benjamin Hardin Hill, Confederate general, who was Lincoln's brother-in-law. He carried a Nashville Plow sword. And I also heard that Bushrod Johnson, and in the museum down here we have several items of Bushrod Johnson's, and he carried a Nashville Plow sword. So anyway, it's an exciting day, and I've always wanted to get a spectacular one on video, so you can put it in your library. We've got over 115, I think this will be 117 videos once we get this up. And you know, these things that we try to do it, you know, for the collectors. And value-wise, these things are still holding top value because of the short amount of them that are out there and the short production. These things will still bring. I see one guy's got one on his website, says the best one in the world. He wants $26,000 for it. But they'll bring anywhere from $8,000 to $15,000, depending on the condition. And this is really top of the tree. It's a privilege for my friend to let me do a video on this thing and to share with you guys. So from the Civil War Guru, enjoy the video. Okay, we're starting to shoot here on the Nashville Plow Sword. So what I have the scabbard lined up with the guard itself, so you can see it in proximity with each other. And what you want to make sure of is when you're buying a Nashville Plow, you want to make sure that the patina on the guard and the handle matches the patina on the mounts. And that's the first good indicator that you look for when you're hunting, to make sure that is the original scabbard to that sword. And these mounts and the patina on them matches the mounts on the guard itself. So that's one of the first things I look for. And then the second thing I look for is the throat. This particular sword has the applied tulip style throat, and that's one of the two styles they use. They use the flat entrance and they use the tulip entrance, and this has the tulip. And another thing too, when you're looking at these swords, and as I said in the reproduction video, how lightweight the fake ones scabbards are. These are heavier, and then what I normally do is take a flashlight and shine it down into the scabbard and make sure that there's 150-year-old worth of patina in there. And because you know, the fake ones, if you look down in the scabbard with a light, you can see that, you know, they're not old. So that's another thing I look for. But then, you know, once we get started here, let's talk about the leather. This, again, as I said at the prelude of the video here, is that the leather and the wire and all the condition of this thing is just superb. But this leather is fantastic, and it's molded to the wood under base. Has all the original real small twist wire on it, and it's in fabulous condition. And then we're going to go look at the blade. Now, on most of the Nashville plow and the college hill swords that I've handled, you'll see the flaws in the blade, and I'm getting ready to zoom in on this particular blade. Now, these blades run 35.5 to 36 inches long, and this particular blade is 36 inches long. So let me zoom in on the blade so you can see the flaws. And you won't see these flaws on a reproduction, but that's a real I say the number one thing for me when I'm looking for the original sword is to make sure that that blade has those flaws. So let's zoom in on the blade and see what it looks like. Now, my grandson's not shooting this, I'm shooting this, so bear with me. And I'll try to bring it up where it don't blind you. There we go. And you can see the flaw there at the throat, or where it butts up against the guard itself. You see the flaws in it. And then we'll move down the blade and you'll see other flaws. But this is what you want to see. You know, this is a hand hammered blade, and this is the exact way that you want to see it. Of course, you know, they polished them out once they formed them and made them. But when they had the flaws in them, they didn't try to go back and fix any flaws. They just went with the product because they were mass producing them. So let's work down the blade and we'll see if there's any other flaws down there. So bear with me. I'm going to move the camera. There we go. I'm going to bring it back up. Now this is about halfway down the blade. And as you can see, I'll try to get a little closer. Let the camera, if I can get it to work with me, adjust. So bear with me. Get it to adjust to where it'll focus. Alright, it's not focusing, so we'll back off a little bit. There we go. That's about as good as it's going to get. But again, there's another flaw in the blade. And as I spoke before, when you look down these blades and you hold it up to the light and you look down the blade and you'll see the hand hammer marks. I'm just going to, from this position, just scan down the rest of the blade. I think it'll be easier for us. Again, I'm not the best cameraman out here. My grandson's not here. But I'm going to try to get to the end of the scabbard, and now this has the rust on it at the tip. And then we'll get over to the scabbard. But you see, if I can bring this down just a hair. These swords, when they go in the scabbard, they should stop maybe a half inch from the end of the scabbard, and that's what this does. This is like again a 36-inch blade, and these scabbards were made to the blades. So when you see a sword with a big differential between the length of the blade and the length of the scabbard, there's a problem there. So because a lot of these guys out here, they want to have a scabbard, and there's far more swords survived than the scabbards did with them. So you see them marrying these scabbards together, and there's a couple guys that make scabbards and do an outstanding job, but they're reproductions. And this is what a real one should look like. And I'm going to try to ease over a little bit and get the drag on this. And as you can see, the drag on this particular one is brass, and of course it's soldered on. And I'm gonna stop the camera a second and move down to that end, and then we'll start from the drag and work our way up the scabbard so you can see the seam in it where it's lap seamed together. So bear with me, and I'm gonna turn it off here a second and reposition the camera. All right, we're down here on the drag now, and you can see the end of the sword itself. And You can see the original black enameled paint. You can see where it's flaked off, and you'll see, actually you can see some of the original primer underneath of it. Then you see the rust. But that's the way it should look. And again, there are some Nashville plows out there with a metal drag, not a brass drag. But this is what you'll see on the bottom portion of the metal scabbard. This is where the seam will start. It'll start at the far left of what we're looking at right now, and you'll see where it's folded over, and then that seam will run all the way up to the throat of the scabbard. You know, they formed them over a mandrel. They had a metal bar which was shaped to the scabbard, and they would fold the metal over, and then they would put it together and soldered or braze it. So, but you can see the actually in the paint, it's kind of funny, as we go up you'll see some of the brush marks still on it. I mean, this is pretty outstanding for a Nashville plow to be in this condition. So I'm gonna try to ease it up a little bit, and again you can see the paint. You can see the paint rising. Now on the bottom, under the paint, you can see as we go up, you see the lip, and the lip's going to get more erratic as we go. You know, there'll be holes in and that, but where it's formed down there at the bottom, it's real tight, and under that paints is the solder and the braze that was put together. So you got to look for that lip. You won't see that on the Kansas made sword of the 80s, the reproduction ones. And of course, there's, like I say, there's a couple guys making scabbards that are actually artisans, and they do a pretty good job, but you can still detect it. You look for that little rust underneath of it like that, like this one here at the bottom of the camera on the where the brass ends and the scabbard seam starts. And you can see there's certain things you look for to see if the age, you know, matches what you're looking at, and it does here. So I'm gonna move up to the first mount that we're going to encounter, and we'll look at that. Okay, we're at the first mount on the lower portion of the scabbard. And again, if you look at the bottom, you can see that pronounced fold there, which the paint's covering it. Now, once we go from here to the top mount, you'll see, we'll roll the scabbard over. You can see where it's soldered together and it's coming apart, and that's what you want to see. You want to see that stress and that age. But if you look at this mount, and here's another indication that's original, you see the flaw in that mount, and where the ring goes through the casting, you see the draw file marks on it. And again, you know, this one has the iron rings, and sometimes I've seen a couple of them that had the brass rings, and some of them the rings are soldered together, and some aren't. But again, you look, you know, I'm going to try to zoom in closer if the camera will let me, and we can look at the ring and look at this distortion and the mount itself. But this is what you want to see, and this patina again should match the patina on the guard, which it does. So I'm going to try to move in just a little bit closer. I don't know if it'll let me without losing focus, but we're going to try. That's a little bit better. And then I'm going to try to roll it up just a hair. And you look at that iron mount, and you see it won't focus that close, so we got to back her back a little bit. But anyway, I think there you can see the draw file marks on top of that mount, and you see the age in that ring, and that's what you're looking for. All right, now the next thing we're going to look is at the seam between the two sword hanger mounts, and I'm going to roll the scabbard up and hold it and try to shoot it at the same time. So I'm going to back this camera out and try to turn it try to catch both mounts if it'll let me. So don't get too dizzy me moving this thing around. And I'm going to turn it off a second and see if I can okay, I got the camera repositioned. Alright, now we got it turned up to where you can see this seam between the two mounts. And the last thing I'm going to say about the mounts is on these Nashville plow, they're not heavy. They're not wide like a Cannonsville or you know, some of the other Dog Rivers. These Nashville plow and College Hill were fairly petite mounts, and that's what you want to look for. Now what we got the camera on is the seam running up the sword. Now here's where the manufacturer was in a hurry and
Didn't quite get it all put together, but you see the draw file marks on it, and you can see the flaws in it. And this is what you're looking for when you're dealing with the original sword. Now let me try to zoom in. I got my friend holding the sword up so we can hopefully get it to bring up a little bit. Bring it up slowly, where you don't get dizzy. But you can see the hose and the scabbard. Let's see if I can move it around a little bit. Let's try to get that second mount. There we go. So as we travel up the mount, and bear with me a second, I'm going to try to get a little more focused, maybe not. You can see the flaws in it. And actually it goes all the way through the sword. And you can actually see where the paint, this thing had been in a prized piece on somebody's mantle for years. And the enamel on it is, yeah, like I say, there's probably 80% plus on it. But you can see where the enamel is chipped off, you know, and that's what you get with a lead-based paint, and that was a lead base. But you look at the flaws in that scabbard, and that is exactly what you want to see. You want to see that because the guys that are making them, that are the artisans, you won't see that in it. You know, they're doing a terrific job to make a fine reproduction. But you know, this is what you want to look for in an original sword. So that kind of flaw, and again, that's you're on the bottom of the scabbard, and that's the lap seam, and we're going up to the front, and you can see the you know, I'm going to dare to try to zoom in a little more. And again, you can see the crudeness there, and you can see underneath that black paint is the file marks, and that's what you want to see. And you're seeing the distortion of the black enamel paint. And that throat is actually, it's black as an ace of spades, but it's actually brass. That's a brass throat in there. And again, as I told you, when you're looking for an original, shine a flashlight down there and make sure you see a 150-year-old's worth of patina down there. But the scabbards, you know, when you're buying these things, because they're so expensive, is as important as the sword itself. And again, you want to make sure that all the patina matches. All right, that's all we're going to talk about on the scabbard. Now we're going to work on the sword itself. We done did the blade, so we're going to move to the guard and the handle, and we'll finish up the video. So I'm going to turn the camera off and reposition. Okay, again, I have my friend holding this thing while I'm trying to shoot it. So I'm going to bring the pointer in, and I'm going to point to it, then I'll zoom in on it. But across here, across the top here, that's where your Nashville plow is. That's where you're going to see the markings. Then you're going to see the CSA here. Now this particular guard is what we call the stripple. It has a stripling on it. And you see all the little marks. You'll see actually more on the other side. You see these lines in here, and we're going in here and here and here. We'll catch all that. And on these particular ones, and you know, a lot of the people don't know that they actually use two size of letterings. There's two different sizes of letterings on Nashville plows. The stripple type has one size, and then the smooth type has another side. Actually, the smooth type guard, actually most of those have a reverse end on the Nashville. So anyway, let's zoom in and see if we can get a better picture of this thing. If I can get Kenny Rogers to hold it steady enough while I'm doing this. I'm gonna zoom in up on the Nashville purse. Okay, that's perfect. Now if we look at it, I don't know if I can get my pencil down here, but you see how all this is real poor casting, worn and married together. That's exactly what you want to see, because that was a sand cast. And if I look way around here, you see the if I can get my pencil to come up here, where's it at here? Here it is, I think. Okay, here it is. If you look down the edge there, around the outside of the guard, you see that stippling. But anyway, if you look at the Nashville, and I'm going to try to get just a hair closer. Kenny's doing a good job. He's starting to get nervous on me. He's wiggling. All right, let me try to get a little bit closer. Just hold tight, Kenny. All right, that's as much as my camera's gonna let me do. It's starting to fade, so I'm back out just enough for you guys. I'm gonna leave it there for a second so you can really get a good look at it. But see how all the Nashvilles pretty much just run together, and that's what you want to see. You don't want to see it real clear, you know. And on the back, we're gonna roll it around. If you can roll it to the left, there you go. And again, all right, if you can stop it a little more. Okay. And you can see there you go. You can see the plow works. Now, what you want to see, if I can get this up here, you want to see where this works. This spilling here runs right into the guard. There's no gap. That's what you see on originals. They actually just fade into the guard itself. And again, you can see all the cross hatching on the perimeter of the guard, and you can see all the little dots, stripplings they call it, inside the guard. And that's what you want to see. All right, now I'm going to turn the camera off and we'll get the CSA on the bottom. All right, and that's actually a perfect shot of it. You can see the stripling on the guard itself and the little dots that's permeated throughout the center of the guard and the CSA. And that patina matches the patina on the mounts, and we had talked about that before. But that's why this thing's so collectible, because you know, the CSA on it, the address on it, and also being a cavalry sword, which, you know, the romance of the Cavaliers. And you know, I was talking about the different guys that carry these swords, and over my 55 years of collecting, we have identified, you know, I think 5 or 6 of these that were carried by Morgan's men. Now, I know for a fact John Hunt Morgan didn't carry a Nashville plow. He carried a 33 Dragoon before he got captured. But anyway, so this is exciting to see, this guard, and hopefully this helps you guys out there, because there's so many charlatans out there trying to pull the wool over people's eyes. And when you start fooling with this kind of money, it's frightening. And again, always deal with somebody reputable, somebody you know, somebody knows what they should know if they're dealing in these type of swords. All right, now we're going to turn it down and get a good shot at the end of the sword, where the blade comes through the guard and is pinged. Now you got the blade, you got the metal blade and the brass. When it comes together, you're going to see a distortion and discoloration, and that's what you want to see. You know, and that always tells you that the sword's never been apart, it never been rewrapped, and it started its life out just as it is today. So let me turn the camera off. We'll get the sword turned around again. All right, we're at the very end of the sword, the pommel area, where the rear of the guard comes up underneath, and everything is folded there and pinged over. And you see this, the original patina. We've got a little glare from the fluorescence, but so that's not shining, that's just glare. But we're looking at these different, you know, you look at the color all the way around here. You got that distortion of color, and you got a lovely golden patina, which over the years of handling so many swords, every different manufacturer of Confederate swords use a certain mix on their brass and zinc, and it has a special color. And all these Nashville Plow and College Hills have the same color and the same patina after 150 years. So that's what it should look like if it's never been apart. Now we're gonna get it and get the grip on it, and you know, the original leather grip and the wire, and that'll be the end of it. We'll shoot a little bit of the inside of the guard so you know what it looks like. All right, so I'm gonna turn the camera off a second and reposition it. All right, we got the sword position. All right, that's the original russet leather, and that's what you want to see. You want to see that brown russet leather, and you don't want to see black. You want to see brown, and you want to see a real fine twist wire. And another thing that needs to be mentioned, and I'll try to get my pencil over there. There's a furrow, and I think, yeah, right there, right where the handle goes down and meets the guard, and that's about a ½ inch, and that's metal, and that's brazed together, and you want to see that. You know, Nashville Plow used that, and you see that same style used on a few of those Craft Goldsmith and Craft made down Columbia. But you want to see that, and you want to look at the patina on it and make sure that the patina's got I'm trying to zoom in a little closer. Got 150 years of age on it. See if I can get this camera to cooperate a little bit. I hope I ain't making y'all dizzy. There we go. And see if I can move it in just a little closer. No, that's as far as the camera's going to zoom. But anyway, you can see the leather looks like a well-worn shoe that you've worn all your life, that you love. In the old days, we used to get our shoes new soles put on because we loved them so much. Now everybody throws their shoes away and hard to find a cobbler anymore. But that's what that leather looks like, a well-worn shoe, and it's just fabulous. It's fabulous condition. And I'm going to do one more shot and then we'll conclude. I want to get the inside of the guard. I want you to see what it looks like, so you can use that as a reference. All right, so if I can get Kenny to hold up, so I'm going to pull it up here. So I'm going to turn the camera off, and also I'm going to shoot the inside of the scabbard. I'm going to get Kenny to put a light on so you can see down into the scabbard. All right, there's the throat of the scabbard. That's a tulip throat, and you can see where of course the leather washer's missing. So you can see where it's laid in there and it's rubbed the patina off on the right side there. But if you shine a light down in there, and you better see that brown patina all the way down in there, because that's what you look for, on these scabbards. You want to make sure that it looks as good inside of the scabbard as it does on the outside. But again, that's a casting, that tulip. I've seen them just brazed up there, but that's a casting, and you can see the draw file marks on it. And so, that's what you want to see. And again, all this patina matches a guard. So I'm going to have Kenny put the sword in the scabbard, then we'll shoot the inside of the bowl of the guard. And then it will be it. Okay, this will be the last shot of the video. This is the inside of the guard where your hand would go. And you can see the little metal ring that we were talking about. And you see how the back strap on these Nashville plows runs all the way down the top of the handle. And your wire goes under there and your leather goes under there. And again, this is a stippling type guard. And so we're going to zoom up here so you can see what it looks like up close. And it's what you're going to look for if you're looking for an original sword. And if not, contact the old guru, send some pictures to the old guru, and he'll do his best to tell you if it's good or not. And again, if y'all have anything that you want to get on camera, we'll try to do it for you. And again, I've got people looking for all kinds of artifacts. So if you got something you're looking to sell, we can help facilitate that for you. And our fees are nothing. So just give us a call. But let's get this last shot here. I'm going to zoom in. Try to keep it clear without blinding you. And that's what it should look like. I'm going to back it back. This sword is in such incredible condition. It's probably, I've handled over 30 of them, and I think this is by far the best one I believe I've ever had the privilege of looking at. So from the Civil War Guru, have a great day. Thank you.